Welcome to Tom and Rob chat for the week of what day is today? The 12th of May, 2026. A lot of people, Paul Krugman is starting to do little vertical shorts, and he goes, "Well, today's Sunday, and and I'm like, Sunday what? Sunday when?"
I know. He treats it too much like a chat.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you gotta give me parameters
He's
here.
a very professional economist, but not necessarily a professional TikTok videographer. Well, as I said, we could chat for an hour about anything, but I didn't get a chance to go to a movie this week. Nothing really exploded in the news. So I'm feeling like, where do we start? Who knows? Oh, I did though. An old movie popped up on Netflix just out of the blue. Splash from 1984. Tom Hanks, Daryl Hannah as a mermaid, John Candy as the older brother. Did you ever see Splash? It was a big movie at the time.
It's funny because on the movies channel they're doing they're promoting Bachelor Party.
And
I went,
love that.
Holy crap! Tom Hanks looks so young.
So young.
What the hell? When was
he had a full set of comedy skills. I really like Bachelor Party. But basically any movie from 82, 83, 84 came on cable, which I had during those years, and they were on all the time. So I watched them all hundreds of times. And the ones I like best are there's a reason I could watch them that many times, because they were kind of engaging all over again every time. Some of them look a little weird now. Bachelor Party, it's like there's no way those 5 weird guys would be tight friends.
No. It's just the odd, it's that oddball formula, right? You put all these oddballs together, especially that guy who grunts and growls and wears all the funny
the caveman guy.
What the hell? Who the hell? What? I guess if you're in a fraternity or whatever, you might mix with people you wouldn't normally mix with.
Yeah, or they were like, Animal House had Pluto. Let's get a guy like Belushi in here to be like that guy.
Exactly.
Exactly. And
but
they got the funny little
Splash.
I remember
really liking.
What?
Oh yeah.
He was weird because, he read to me as kind of fey and almost gay, but his storyline is that he's absolutely horrified when he finds out he slept with a trans woman. She pees standing up and he freaks out.
Right.
I think I'm in love. I could never get a handle on what that actor was trying to do with that part, or why they put him in it or anything. I don't know.
Shock value. I mean, that whole thing was shock value.
Yeah, a lot of good gags,
had a little more subtlety. Yeah, it did.
It also had a full frontal female nudity, which I was really happy about when I was 14. Wow. Let's see that scene again.
Exactly.
Hey, you're I'm hearing a popping in and out kind of weirdness from your your voice is getting interrupted by a little buzz.
Your voice as well.
Huh.
Okay. I'm hearing that from you occasionally.
Okay, that means it's the Video Ninja connection or something. Oh.
Yeah, it's probably a bandwidth thing. I'm getting 248 kbps, and I just went into the yellow zone. Now I'm into the green zone again.
Okay, something's going on. So maybe, I don't know, it might be worth starting over, but I don't know. Well, now that this works, these are a little more disposable. I'm not putting as much work into them that I feel like we need to get every technical thing working. Also, we have a very, very small audience. It doesn't really matter that much. Let's keep going.
Right. Yeah, what the hell?
A random thing popped up, pivoting somewhat to politics. This is more like rumors and gossip about the president's health. Hashtag what's wrong with him. But someone was analyzing, they were trying to figure out what's with the ballroom, why the ballroom, what the deal's the ballroom. And then you start going like, it's not the ballroom, it's the stuff under the ballroom. And I'm like sort of with any theory along those lines. Because it's almost like they realized, oh, but they could have said, the bunker under the East Wing needs an upgrade. We're going to tell Congress about it. We're going to tell the people what we're up to. And everyone go, okay, yeah, it's 2026. Probably time to upgrade the bunker under the... They didn't do that. They just started doing this and saying, it's the ballroom. But she was looking at this one long, Donald Trump Truth Social where he was trying to justify why we need this ballroom that he posted in the middle of the night. And she's like, wait a minute, there's one thing in the middle of the list that pops out a little. If you almost don't notice it because it's in the middle of 1,000 words. He said, brand new state-of-the-art hospital facilities. And she went,
yes, he's
hey,
been saying
wait a
that
minute.
lately.
And she looked at the timeline like, he started having these Walter Reed visits, and all the press can tell when he goes to Walter Reed. And he doesn't want everyone to know how often he goes there. So he finally like, well, let's build a hospital in the, we have medical facilities, but you can't do surgery in there and stuff. He's like, well, let's do that. Well, in order to do that, we'd have to knock down the East Wing and then bulldozers. And suddenly, and she thinks a lot of this has to do with just being able to go to the hospital in secret. And I'm like, that's a good theory. I'm going to keep that one in mind as things continue. She was nobody. She was just some random person putting it together and putting out a video. I'm like, that's a good one. I'm going to, park that in your mind.
It's as good as any of the other.
It's as good as any of the other theory. I mean, some of the other things he wants are probably true too, but I think she lined it. She actually went to the trouble of building like a little graphical timeline of when he started having certain issues and then how fast they started just destroying the ballroom. I mean, destroying the East Wing and moving forward. And I'm like, and he's frustrated and going crazy because the medical things might be getting a little more urgent and they're stopping him from any more construction. And he's going a little mad about it. I like that one.
Well,
they did.
Remember how he used to have bruising on one, I think his left, back of his hand. Now he's got them on both. Yeah. And if he's sleeping all the time. He can't do an Oval Office press conference without sleeping while other people are talking.
Right.
And
he can't get through one anymore.
It's that kind of thing where he's sitting in his nice, and the problem is he has too comfortable a chair. A chair is very nice, has a little pillow thingy there for him, and he just sits in there. And
we all know what that's like.
I do. I sleep in a comfortable chair all the time.
So you can't really pretend like, no, I wasn't falling asleep. We as human beings have all tried to give ourselves falling asleep, and we all feel and look the same way.
But the excuse is, come on, it was a blink. Why are you trying to make a big deal out of a blink?
So he took a slow blink.
He's
thinking deeply. He's the most intelligent president we've ever had, the most transparent. Anyway.
The most drooly, too.
So they unveiled the golden statue of him.
The golden calf.
And got all the preachers out there to bless this thing. And then people immediately start saying, aren't you not supposed to worship a golden idol? And I'm like, oh, no, it's not a golden calf. Like, yeah, actually the calf part is not so much the point as a golden graven image that you're, they're going to put the 10 commandments in every classroom, and they're in a certain order. And the first one is, don't have any gods before me. Don't have any graven images. That's more important than stealing and lying and adultery. And because you just got to know, if God's there, he's supposed to be the exact same God that talked to Moses and sent those commandments. He does not like that. So why you would do that? I mean, just erect a bronze statue of him. No, when you coat it with gold, it's something else. Anyway, but the other thing I was thinking about, okay, it's kind of lame that Texas classrooms, K through 12, and they say every classroom in every school, 10 commandments on the wall. Do you know how little people will pay attention to those after about first grade when they're there? It's a blind spot. You can take a senior after they've been through 12 years of it, say, you know, the 10 Commandments, like that thing on the wall. Oh, that thing. Yeah. Can you recite any of them? They'll probably draw a complete blank because
I
they just
pledge
will not see
allegiance
it.
to the Wait, I pledge allegiance to the plaque. No,
So
I agree. It's preposterous.
I'm getting a little overwhelmed by, because I can't vote in the Republican primary of Cornyn versus Paxton, but I'm still seeing their ads warring it back and forth, and it's driving me a little crazy. Yesterday, before every single video I clicked on YouTube, I saw an anti-Paxton ad. Every single one. It was really making me crazy. And
Oh,
they're doing
you've
this thing
seen
like
them
they're trying
mostly
to
on
associate him with a
YouTube?
scary looking black man. This man is a predator, and Ken Paxton is. We've seen that playbook before. And the Paxton ones against Cornyn are weird. It's like he's been in office since 1984, and he's been against our values ever since. I'm like, Cornyn, this milk toast, straight line Republican, has been against what values are you talking about that he could possibly be against? The only
I
thing I
think the
think is
first
like
commandment, maybe.
when Cornyn always likes to get in a cowboy hat that looks like fresh off the shelf and shake hands
Right.
with sheriffs and guys with guns, and I feel like they would be kind of revulsed by how doughy soft his hands are when you shake hands with him. That's the only thing I could think. This man has never lifted more than a pen in his
He's
life.
got the hands of a fancy lawyer.
Fancy lawyer hands. Anyway, golly. Anyway, so I was rewatching the movie Splash for the first time in a long time. And I'm like, this is a real pro piece of comedy entertainment.
Yes, it
Hanks is
is.
very
It's
good.
really good.
They got John Candy and Eugene Levy as supporting comedy players in their young
Levy is
prime.
just hilarious. What a day I'm having!
Oh, what a week I'm having! He's very good stuff, and the editing is really crisp. You can see they were setting up for a huge conference table scene where they're basically the scientific board is telling Eugene Levy he's crazy and they're not going to fund him anymore. But all they did was have one guy say, "You're crazy. We can't have this," and it cut. I'm like, I bet that was a 6-page scene, and people all around the table had lines, and it was a big deal, and they shot it for 2 days, and they said, like, it's not moving the movie along, but we need that beat where his funding is cut, and they cut it. I'm like, that is a very professional thing to do. It's hard because all the
Yeah.
actors in that scene were like really
Where's
hoping to see
my line?
themselves. and it moves along at this wonderful clip, and I thought, man,
Mm-hmm.
Ron Howard was really up to speed as a professional director. I think this is his third movie. He made Grand Theft Auto for Corman. Then he
Yeah.
made Night Shift, which was pretty good.
I
And then
like
he
Night
made
Shift.
Splash, and he's fully formed here. That's 3 sort of comedies in a row.
Yeah.
But you have to, like, 18 years of growing up on film sets gives him a head start to know what to do as soon as he got there. But it's like, this is not like someone's sophomore or even post-sophomore effort. This looks like a guy that's like ready to go. And he was,
Mm-hmm.
because he's had a whole
Mm-hmm.
40-year career now. And it's funny. They actually showed a trailer for his first the Corman movie, Grand Theft Auto, that Corman only let him do because, like, well, you have to star in it because you're in Happy Days right now, and
Right.
so your face. So if you do that, you can direct it. And he's like, I don't want to do both. It's like, well, then you do none. So he was in it, and the trailer just had all these explosions. Every car that smashed up and blew up was in the trailer, and I was remembering there was a whole separate unit at Corman just to cut the trailers. And as cheap and exploitational as the movies were, the trailer department was that squared, even more so. And Joe Dante, future director of Gremlins and such, was in the trailer department. And they would laugh hilariously at their own work. and how much they managed to cram in each trailer. If there was one explosion in the movie, you'd see it 5 times in the trailer and stuff like that. And they knew it was like crazy what they were doing with, like, they were having fun, and they learned some filming techniques by doing that too. What you need.
They knew that most of those movies were going to be seen in drive-ins.
Right.
And right. So they cut it for the drive-in because the drive-in had this giant screen. And if you had a good gasoline style fire where it was all orangey red and with it would look so good on there, and nobody's paying attention in the movie anyway.
I mean,
right?
it's 150
Remember the
feet
speakers
wide.
of those things? Yeah. And the speakers were so bad and tinny. They said, oh, nobody's going to listen to this. And we got to put the images in there. And so, yeah, I think that's why they did it, because I think you're exactly right, Rob, because I remember that the 2 things I remember at the movie most was the movie poster.
Yeah.
It was one of those. And again, they had these flying cars, in midair, and they had an explosion in the back, and they had him and Cindy Williams.
Right.
Put together at the front of it. And you know how they did those trailers back then where everybody else's face would be in there, but back, this big and back behind them and stuff. I remember that. And then I remember that the trailer was, it was super bombastic. Super.
Like,
yeah.
Smash. And trying to show you it's funny, but like car crashes.
With a funny line
and
here
car
and there,
crashes. And car crashes.
And something on somebody's head that fell over during a car crash and was dripping down.
Oh, well, that's it for my notes. Goodbye. See you next week. I don't know. Is anything else going on? What? Well, it's funny because when I said about Bachelor Party, I don't buy that those 5 guys would be friends.
Right.
I was thinking about when I see a group of friends walking around and they all are dressed alike and have the same haircut and look alike and are walking the same. I'm thinking, that's not me and my 3 best buddies in high school. We all had a different look. We all had a physical presence that we all walked different. The only thing we could do, we had a kind of a shared sense of humor, and we all had the ability to make the other 3 absolutely crack up laughing, but from our own way of doing. I had kind of this intellectual kind of sarcasm thing, and I could construct a joke. And there was one guy that was just really good at just out of the box, just something so absurd. It would never occur to our brains in a million years to come up with that. Where did it come from? We don't know. And we'd sometimes be trying to write a comedy sketch and like, we need just something weird here. We go like, hey, come up with something weird. And he would. And we like, never would have. And I've heard that Graham Chapman in Monty Python was the one who would do just the absolutely weird, absurd, silly things that aren't connected to anything.
Oh, really?
And he and John Cleese would write sketches together. And Cleese was very methodical, organized, the architecture of the sketch, the how it evolves and advances. And then he'd come to a thing where he just needed something silly. And then Graham Chapman would just, he'd smoke about, I was thinking about the cheese shop sketch, which is just a long list of cheeses, but it does have this methodical progression. They start out ordinary and then they get slightly more bizarre as he's trying to scrape the bottom of the barrel. What cheese do you have? And so at one point he says Venezuelan beaver cheese. And I'm like, because most of them are real cheeses, but that one is just out of the box. Venezuelan beaver cheese. Not even Scottish beaver cheese. I thought that must have been like Graham Chapman is like, oh yeah, how about Venezuelan beaver cheese? He laughs and puts it in. And then the sketch has this other weird element where there's a bouzouki player and a dancer in the corner. And I was thinking, it's actually really important to this comedic structure of that sketch that he has something else to blow up in anger about, not just yell at the shopkeeper. Because he doesn't actually end up the sketch yelling at the shopkeeper in anger. He says, okay, I'm going to ask you one more time. And if you tell me you have no cheese at all, I'm going to shoot you. And he has one more time. No, sir, I've been deliberately wasting your time. But bang. And that's how the sketch ends. But if he said, I'm going to ask you one more time, that is actually not funny. But that's the level
Right.
of frustration and anger he's got. So he needs something else to blow off steam at. And then Graham Chapman says, how about there's a bouzouki player and a male dancer with a bare midriff in the corner? It's like, that, so he can yell at the bouzouki dancer, shut up with the bouzouki, and then calm down again to get the calm ending of the sketch. So it's important, but like John Cleese's brain knows he needs that, but he doesn't know what absurd thing that should be. That's the funniest weird thing to be. But there's this writing partner.
That's why you have a writing partner. Yeah.
That's why you have a writing partner. So anyway, I was musing on these are things I think about from time to time. I don't know why. Thought I'd share that one just to keep it going. Yeah, I mean, hasn't anything else happened? I mean, I guess there was just a thing from the strict scrutiny gals today that the Supreme Court, even just since the last time we talked, and after they'd already hurried up the Louisiana thing, they just stepped in another unexplained order to put their thumbs on the scale of Alabama, and in a thing that defies the logic they just set up in recent decisions.
Right.
So there's nothing but naked Republican partisan help going on from them. At the same time, John Roberts is giving like quiet little talks saying, I don't know why they think we're partisan.
Yeah, why does everybody keep saying
we're the
that?
highest, loftiest jurisprudence. We just tell you what the law is. It's either he actually believes that, or it's this most disingenuous thing you've ever heard in your life. I was actually almost convincing myself there is some stupid way he actually thinks that. But like, because the way Stephen Colbert's original joke was, everyone knows facts have a well-known liberal bias, and in fact, this is the conservative complaint. You keep saying these facts, and they're clearly biased against what we're saying. Well, but he thinks like, oh, the absolute lofty application of the law. Of course, it will have a conservative bent. That's what the law would naturally have. Any liberal leaning law, that's obviously judicial activism, because it should tend to be conservative, because that's just what the law is. That's the only thing I can think he thinks in his mind that lets him sleep comfortably at night, and think he's right. But I don't think he is personally.
Well, yeah, he clearly is not, because he is falling into the same traps of the more conservative courts, or more right. I shouldn't call them conservative, because they're actually
No, what
radical.
are they? There's something else.
Conservatives don't act radically like that. Right?
No.
They act in small steps, small, very
Yes, that's the whole
understandable
point.
steps. Right. They have judicial restraint. They only say as much as they have to resolve the issue at hand, and no more. They don't try to make grand pronouncements. That's called judicial restraint. It used to be one of the big
philosophies
points.
Or something.
Exactly, underpinning of conservative judicial. But these are not that. These people are radical, and they're taking. They're like the Taney court that came up with Dred Scott, and they're similar to the court that came up with Plessy versus Ferguson. How do we rationalize the thing we want? Right? They're instead of what he's saying is, oh, we're going to just apply the law and let the chips fall where they may. No, they think about what they want first. I mean, think about when I was listening to the oral arguments in remember the Trump immunity case?
Yeah.
There were several times when I think it was either Roberts or one of the others in his book said, there's got to be, right? And that shows their bias right there. No, there doesn't have to be, right? No. And in fact, when he says that there is this implied immunity, he makes it up out of whole cloth. It's not in there. And here's how we know if they really wanted it to be in there. the Congress is given a form of immunity, the speech and debate clause. They can't be touched for that. And they explicitly put that in there. So if they wanted to put that in there for the president, they would have done it.
And they did not.
But he's saying, but there has to be. You can't just have the president can't be hung out to dry where anybody can just. I said, well, he's not. Nobody has ever been failed like this by the legal process because nobody has acted like a one before.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, and they said, well, there has to be some protections. Alito was saying, well, you could indict a ham sandwich. And I said, well, actually, no, because several times they tried to indict their ham sandwiches. And the grand jury said no.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of protections already in the system against this kind of politicization of judicial system. And yet they in their head, no, the framers had to have meant to give these people some sort of special immunity.
All the masks are off now. There's no way you can say it's not, result thought of first, justification later, because all their justifications are now contradicting each other within weeks of each other. There is no underlying philosophy that explains all of it.
Yeah, there's no through line.
So the only thing is just like, stop, own it, own up to it, man up and say, yeah, what are you going to do? But this prissy, like, oh, how dare you?
Right.
How dare you?
Well, that's
really getting my goat.
The way the reactionary judges have always gone after the three post-Civil War amendments is by mischaracterizing them and saying no, they're meant to at the end create a colorblind society. No, they were not. The people who brought forward especially with the 14th and 15th Amendments, they said no, this is because, and they were done because the clever little political people in the South were finding ways that didn't have race in them, but that would still apply pretty narrowly to ex-slaves, poll taxes. It would also get rid of a bunch of poor whites, but who cares about them?
Poor white trash. Sorry.
Right. Or literacy tests, or that's for some reason the only people who had to follow them were poor people and colored people. So and I'm using colored because or they would have said Negro or whatever. Negra, which they used to say here in Texas. And LBJ used to call him that. I was listening to him the other day and I heard the Negra. Weird way of saying that word. Anyway, yeah, I mean, they were doing that to find ways weren't explicitly racial that they could say, okay, we're not going after the freedmen. We're just this applies to everyone. And it's the same crap that we're doing. And so when Congress said, okay, we're gonna give you the 14th and 15th Amendments, and explicitly said, and Kentucky Brown Jackson points this out, he went and read the commentaries on arguments for in these amendments. They're explicitly to provide remedies for these sneaky little race these little dependencies that ended up affecting black people more than white people, even though there was no race explicitly in the qualification. So she said it was explicitly in the arguments that this was so that they could counter these things for the bias of the people who had been oppressed. Right. Which is kind of racial, but on the other hand, it's a redress of the 400 years of racial animus before. And they're saying, no, you can't use race for to redress. If you want to get the best, this is a John Roberts quote. If you want to get the best way to get rid of racial bias is to get rid of racial bias, because he's saying that if you have a bias to help a racial group that had been oppressed, you're still being racially biased. And it's the most ridiculous argument ever made, because the 14th and 15th Amendments were specifically put in there to protect those groups that have been biased, that the South had been biased against, and were
the reasoning
continuing
was
to
well
be
known
after
and
the
well
war.
documented.
Exactly.
They had some footage of the Tennessee legislature rushing into session to get a bill to do the new map that they want. And man, it's just a bunch of weird looking white folks with huge grins on their faces.
Oh yeah.
One clown had a Trump flag on his back and he was waving it around, dancing. And meanwhile, they threw every black protester out of the building. You don't belong here, get out. And they were so happy looking. There's this one video commentator. I'm trying to figure out how black people feel about these things. So I'm finding some people that regularly post, and she was like, her name is like the Tabitha Speaks or something is her handle. I don't know.
Okay.
But she did a freeze frame on, like, look at these folks grinning their faces off right before they're going to take this vote. Look at it. And she just sat there quietly, and you're like, yeah. And then she's like, and then clicked off her video. Like, that's all she needed to say. And she's right. This is about race. They are so overjoyed. We finally get to do it. And then I heard some legislator came out of that session and said, well, now we've done that. Now it's up to the Supreme Court to trash the 14th Amendment. Just flat out said it. He's getting so brazen. They're so full of themselves now. But like, man,
oh, they hate the 14th Amendment so badly.
Something's really gonna brew in the black population of this country that they really shouldn't like put under pressure and unleash, because I don't think they know. But we are heading into some weird times because they're putting the whole country under such stress. I don't know where it's gonna blow, where it's gonna not go. And I'm, like, what's my part in? I don't know. I have these conversations with you, and now we're documenting that we're talking like this. I don't know. At least we're on the record. We're on this side. I don't know what side you guys are on. Oh, anyway, but yeah, these are crazy. I knew the 21st century was going to be horrific in some ways, but this is really kind of astounding. We're a quarter century in. We got 75 years to go with this craziness, and it's going so fast. And
they're trying to make it come to a head, and I thought moderating forces would cut it off beforehand.
They have not,
and clearly they have not, because they just our information systems are so screwed up that people who are openly evil are considered mainstream, and people who oppose them are considered evil.
Yes,
that's how bad it's gotten.
That's how bad it's gotten.
And it's like, oh, stop being divisive by pointing out someone else as being divisive. It's like your logic is so inverted. You should be inside out. You should be seeing your insides, because that's what your logic seems like.
Which poet was it? Keats, who wrote The Second Coming? I don't want to get that wrong, but there's a line in it. The best lack all conviction, and the worst are full of passionate intensity. That's what he's foreseeing a time, and I'm like, that feels like it. Because I don't know. I may be a good guy, I may not, but I'm not full of conviction right now. But there sure are a lot of weirdos full of passionate intensity that you see all the time, just for the wrong stuff. And then there's all the people that just like swallow the talking points and repeat them and don't think about them. They just like record and repeat. And I don't have to talk to them much, but like I live in Texas. There's sometimes you might run in. Sometimes I go into a shop and I'm like, oh, I think there's some MAGA guys in here.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, from a strategic point of view, from a strategic thinking point of view, I was thinking, here's what he's going to do, because this is the smart thing to do. The economy, Forbes, The Economist, all these other right wing organizations were saying we had a Goldilocks economy. It would be the envy of the world. Somebody's going to come out of this and just be able to run with this thing. And what I was thinking is all those things that Trump said he was going to do or going to provide, they were going to happen because
If
the
he just didn't
economy
do
was
anything.
finally, it felt inflation was finally under control, coming down. I think it was 2.9 when Biden left office, and it was coming down. The trend line had been down. He has to do is do what he did with Obama and ride, coast it, and then do all his social stuff.
Yeah.
And his people love all the crackdown that he's doing. And meanwhile, the economy will be good, and all the jackalopes will just be going, yeah, but the economy's great. Gas prices
Yes.
are finally down.
That was
I
the
don't care
plan.
about.
And that
I
should have
thought that
worked,
he would do
except
that, but he did the exact opposite. The first things he did were things that were going to disrupt the economy. And I was thinking, what
tariffs
the
and then a war in Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz. What?
right? It's
I mean,
like,
at one point, when does the business world go, this is starting to be against our financial interests to support
yeah.
this madman? I'm not seeing that really.
Well, but the thing that I don't understand, if you look at the trend lines and the money people are loving it, and I'm not sure why, because I'm looking at the Wall Street at the various changes, and they're doing really well. I'm looking, I'm going in the 2 year
Yeah.
the 2 year thing. They're back towards the high when he had been dipping badly. What makes them think them putting more money into these these corporations is a good investment at this point?
Can't figure it out.
Because it looks like we're on the edge of a
I mean, if
and
we
that's
really go
not when
over
you
the
put a
cliff.
shitload of it's not when you put a shitload of money into equities. So I don't get it. I'm
Yeah, I know
thinking,
people
okay,
that they
which
have,
one of these
their
stocks do I need to
retirement
sell off?
savings partly tied to the stock market, and it can
Right.
swing. Because they keep almost on a weekly basis. Hey, we're in a war. We're not in a war. We're in a war. We're not in a war. And they're watching thousands of dollars swing in
Oh
what
yeah.
they have, and
Market manipulation, and all his little buddies and cronies are buying
openly.
and doing puts, buying and then doing puts, so that so they're buying options when they buy stock too, and so that way they get the value on the way up, and then they get paid off on the way down,
Yeah.
and they're doing it in the prediction markets too.
Mm.
The manipulation in the prediction markets is
Yeah,
really
that's
really bad.
I don't what that should not be a legal thing.
Oh,
Especially when there are still gambling laws throughout the states. When somehow no, I mean it's just
but they're
it
treating
is.
it like no, it's commodities. The commodities trade market. They're the ones who should be regulating.
Yeah.
They're the smallest trade regulation organization and with the least teeth. You want to take it out of Securities and Exchange Commission and put it into the
There's
CTFP.
so much that needs to be fixed.
Oh
What I
yeah,
worry about is that maybe you'd get a Democratic president and they'd have 4 years and they'd be still in the middle of just trying to undo. And
yeah,
people go, I'm a little upset. Let's go back to another Republican administration. And like,
right. They don't give
not
the first
yet. We need
administration the
20
time to fix
years to
things. Yeah,
fix this stuff. A full-time task force just to like go through every executive order he signed that did something crummy, to
well, see, that's
rebuild USAID, to do
yes.
refund the science research, to put everybody back that you.
Well, see, that's why I don't get that he didn't just coast on the economy,
He could have
because
done these
if
crummy
you
things under the table.
yes, right, and he would still have made all that money and still be corrupt as hell. But it would be harder to attack him because we, oh, I don't care, economy's good. I got a
Yeah,
job.
I got cheap gas.
Inflation's down.
What's
I got cheap
wrong?
gas. Exactly.
You
And
got
instead of,
brain syndrome.
yeah, and instead of just doing that, which would have been the smart thing to do, and keep the country, split in their division, he's done things that made the very people
Yeah.
who
Well,
took
one,
a flyer on him,
he's not smart,
let
and two, he's a chaos personality.
yeah,
Um,
and somehow he convinced black folk and Latino folk he was going to give them that golden economy that he never had in the first place. In the first term, it was basically Obama's fixes
yeah,
that were, he
yeah.
was coasting on Obama there.
8 years
And
of Obama.
yeah, and then I thought he was going to do the same thing. And it would have been a lot smarter for him to do it, because now he has screwed up so, but he has his only, his Hail Mary with Iran is that once the economy gets so bad, that system falls apart. And if it does fall apart, it will fall apart into pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be bad. But that's his only Hail Mary at this point. And I think that's why he's doing the blockade. He's hoping to put so much economic pressure on them is that they collapse. Because the IRGC says, hey, thanks for giving us the Hormuz Strait, and we're going to keep it forever. Oh, and the undersea cables that everybody depends on for their internet and stuff, those are ours too now.
Things they never would have demanded just a couple of months ago. Things were stable. They wouldn't have, but now they get to, and they know that they can.
And I was thinking to myself that, they were going, hell, why do we want an expensive nuclear program when all we had to do, this is all we need. This is better than a nuclear program. We can cut this shit off anytime we want with a goddamn speedboat.
Oh man, if only Obama hadn't made fun of Trump at that Correspondents Dinner in 2011. So I saw a clip of it again. And it was the Pod Save America guys that wrote his jokes that night.
Yeah.
There was one where he's put up a model of like Trump's White House, and it was supposed to be over the top satire, but it had an extra weird third story, which is exactly how tall the ballroom is going to be. And it had the White House in big gaudy curly Q letters, and he has put the Oval Office outside the Oval Office in exactly those weird curly Q letters. I'm like, this is not even satire. This is the White House we have now.
I know. He actually put the Oval Office inside the Oval Office as well. And people pointed out is because he might get confused and not know where he is. And so they had
the Oval Office.
Well, they put it on the other side of the Resolute desk. So who's that for? It's for the person sitting in the Resolute desk. If it were behind him, it wouldn't be for him. It'd be for the cameras. But they didn't put it behind him where all the busts and stuff are. It's out in front of him. So he goes, oh yeah.
I'm surprised he's still using that desk.
I'm in the Oval Office.
Get me a marble desk. Get rid of this cheap piece of oak old thing.
Yeah, can I inlay this with black granite?
Black granite. I mean, there was a time when he
black
said he was
granite and white marble.
Replace all the armrests in the Kennedy Theater with
white marble,
like ice cold, super hard marble. That's not why would. He's obsessed with the chintziest, gaudiest things that he thinks are like super fancy.
Oh, it's like they just look so.
A dope's idea of what's super fancy.
1/8 inch a gold leaf on everything. It's like it's
a gold touch here and there, but everything, then it's nothing. You can't explain this to him.
Everything is nothing.
It becomes monotonous when it's all what. Or, geez, but oh god.
He has the He has the taste. I saw the decoration and I'd been to Versailles, and I'm looking
Right.
at how everything in there is so gaudy.
Yes.
Right? The rooms, the way they're decorated, everything has gold leaf on them. The beautiful wood carvings, but they're not wood. They put gold leaf over it to make it
Right.
look all. And then I looked at what he did in his triplex um, in the Trump Tower.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Everything's Louis the 14th furniture with the beautiful wood, but then it has these gaudy gold adornments on the edges and around the pilasters on the that are supposedly holding up the writing desk, and you're going, who would
The
want to live it?
Gilded
That'd be
Age.
like, yeah, it'd be like living in a museum or something.
Well,
But he
also,
thinks that's
this reminds me of when The Apprentice was gearing up to, she's like, well, I guess we might actually shoot it in his office rooms and his thing. But like
right.
the furniture underneath all that gilt and stuff was run down and looking ratty. And like, he doesn't take care of any of this stuff. He doesn't actually have an eye for when he should reupholster something, or like it's chipped and it's all gross and cobwebs in the corners and stuff. It's like we had to build our own set three
So
floors
they built
down.
a set for his conference room scenes. Yeah, they had
Like
to
this will
build
look
that.
terrible on television. Oh, it's all been fake, and his whole reputation came from that stupid show,
I know,
rehabilitating him.
and so many people thought he was, this grand businessman when he really, ever since he destroyed himself in Atlantic City, nobody would do business with him
Yeah. I mean,
because he
there
was
was
such an
honestly a
idiot.
time I read about it, some latest bankruptcy, and it really sounded like it killed, and he had to sell off all his yachts and planes and everything. I'm like, good, that guy's never going to come back. He should have never been a celebrity in the first place. Great, we'll never hear from him again. And then they invented the show a few years after that. And I'm like, him again?
Well, but the thing that they talk about the show, and the show did inject money and kind of rebuild his image. That Russian mob money that
Oh,
needed to be, and oligarch money that needed to be laundered. He was only too happy to
yeah.
launder it through
One
his
forgets that has been
property
a thing for the Trump family for quite some time.
since the late '90s, and they realized that the banks wouldn't deal with them at all after the Taj Mahal.
Well,
So
yeah,
they
because
took
no
all their money
reputable place would give him money anymore.
because he was going to default on it, and they
Right.
knew it. So then he started doing the things where he buys something for $33 million, and some Russian oligarch pays $90 million for it in a year.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is there a 200% markup on the property?
Yeah. And we're
It
seeing
was
this again with
all
just
it's all
small things
nasty
like,
as hell.
a fountain across it that's in view of the White House gets a renovation. So it looks like a tacky Las Vegas fountain with LEDs changing it colors. And somehow it costs $17 million, or
I
whatever
know.
for $100,000 refit job. And it's the same grift, and it's so blatant now, and it's every day, and it's like, but where's the thing? It doesn't help anything that I know about all this. This has all been reported now. That's
Right.
how I
Yeah.
know about it.
And people are going, how does this make my gas cheaper?
Yes,
How does this make beef a little less expensive? And why am I having to eat tuna fish, canned
he's
tuna fish?
real close to just unintentionally saying something like, "Well, let him eat cake if bread's too expensive." He's real close to just doing that and not even thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Sir,
He
sir, I
thinks
can't afford bread, sir, with tears in my eyes. Uh,
well, he goes, I've never been richer. What's your problem?
yeah, I
I'm,
know. I'm doing great. And if
I'm
I'm
doing
doing
great.
great,
It's a golden age.
the state is
Golden
me.
age for me. Yeah. Yeah. So you must be having some problems of your own
Oh, this
making.
is
That's
this
my
is
fault.
the world we live in. May 2026. Okay, so it's 15 years since that Correspondents Dinner in 2011. Right. This was the yesterday anniversary of that. 15 years we've had to deal with him because
Because they eviscerated him.
All right. Well, actually, we talked almost an hour now, even having nothing
And
to
you
say.
thought we had nothing to say.
All right. Well, I'm going to go and see if I can get this uploaded and it'll be there. All right.
Yay.
Well, I'll talk to you next time. Maybe next week.
Cool.
Maybe I'll see a movie. All right. I'll talk to you later, Tom. Thanks for talking tonight. Bye-bye.
Oh, absolutely. Bye.